Good morning, cadets and families. Ken Doucette here, the director of the Youth Public Safety Academy. And I want to welcome you to our fourth and sadly final week of our virtual Youth Public Safety Academy Summer Series. It's been an amazing month together with you all, and it's been an awesome summer. Before we start, please remember that while the Middlesex Sheriff's Office places the highest priority on the protection of cadets' confidentiality, remote learning does not fully allow the Middlesex Sheriff's Office to control who is viewing a lesson. And therefore, parents and individuals should be aware that there is no expectation of privacy. We also ask that you do not take any photos or videos during the presentation, as a full recording will be made available on the Middlesex Sheriff's Office social media pages. Finally, and this is to you cadets, listen up, we encourage you to ask thoughtful questions during the webinar. You can do so by clicking the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Megan Lee, our Director of Community Outreach, who you see beside me, will monitor those questions and ask them for you throughout the webinar. Now, there's one very important thing I need to do before we start, and my parents and grandparents always taught me the importance of saying thank you. I need to thank our team, our incredible team at the Middlesex Sheriff's Office, for all the work they did this summer in putting together this Youth Public Safety Academy virtual program in such a short time span. I want to thank Sheriff KOUTOUJIAN, who did an incredible job with his leadership and support, and who has always put the Youth Public Safety Academy in the highest of priorities for us to be able to put together this program. And last, and I know the Sheriff shares the same thought, we want to thank you, the cadets and families, for once again joining us in the Youth Public Safety Academy during these crazy times. And we can't wait till we see you next year back in the grounds, back in the facilities here at the Youth Public Safety Academy. With that, allow me to welcome our host, Sheriff KOUTOUJIAN. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Ken. Good morning, cadets. And good morning, Megan. I can't believe this is also our final week of YPSA, Ken. It is sad. You know, this is like the sad part of the end of the summer for us every year. And what I really missed was seeing the cadets, but really also seeing all of our great counselors. I think that we had some of the best around. And for many of you whose children attended, you know how they connected with your kids. They protected them, made them feel better and stronger, really made it for a special experience. So we miss them. It has been great spending this time with all of you in this way, even if we couldn't do this personally. And all of our partners in public safety, even with the virtual distance, these weekly webinars give us a little bit of YPSA to enjoy this summer. This week is a really, really important topic, something we stress throughout all of our YPSAs, but we're doing a special attention to it this week. Something we speak about regularly: cyber safety, bullying, and respect. Before we begin, a few notes for our cadets and their families. As you know, there'll be some polls for you to answer during this episode, so keep your eyes and ears open for those. Our very own Megan Lee will be managing those. Second, these webinars are designed to make sure your faces and voices are not recorded at any point. And as we will talk about today, it's important you keep yourself safe when you're online. One way you can do that is by making sure your face or any identifying information about you is kept hidden. Think of it like a superhero. Sometimes you need to keep your identity safe. So think of it like that too. Finally, if you want to rewatch this episode or have your friends watch it, which I always encourage, bring your friends in and watch it again with them so that they can learn what you've learned. You can go to any of our social media pages later this week and find it there. This is really helpful information. So we want you to go back and watch it whenever you need and bring it to your friends. So why are we talking about cyber safety and respect? Well, as you probably know, people are not always respectful to each other, sadly, right? Both kids and adults sometimes forget to be kind. And some people experience disrespect and meanness, and sometimes even violence in their lives. As your sheriff, I feel really responsible to keep you safe. And today, we're going to talk about that. Number one, how to stay safe while online, as we are all on our computers a lot more now. And number two, how to show respect for one another and be role models for kindness. So I asked two of my really good friends and closest partners in law enforcement to talk about being kind and respectful. One is our district attorney, Marion Ryan. If you don't know what a district attorney is, she is the top lawyer in the whole county. She represents the people of Middlesex County when someone is accused of a crime and protects victims. I work with the district attorney, Ryan, all the time. She's a terrific role model for justice, but also respect. Our second guest is Special Agent in Charge, Joseph Volanta. Special Agent Bonavolante has a really cool job. He is the top FBI agent in all of New England. He's responsible for seeing all of the FBI's activities throughout New England. He's someone who really does his job to help others, always does it with respect. These are two superstars of public safety, so please pay attention and listen to what District Attorney Ryan and Special Agent in Charge Bonavolante have to say.
Hello everyone, I'm Marion Ryan, the District Attorney here in Middlesex County. I want to thank the Sheriff for his invitation to participate in the PSA training. This year is very different. We're all doing this virtually rather than when I get to come and see you in person, which is always one of my favorite days of the summer. But I really applaud you for taking the time to be learning how to keep yourself safer. And once you have that information, to take that information out and keep your family members and your friends safer. You know, one of the things that I hope you'll take away from this is, as we've especially seen as we've been dealing with the virus, life is really all about making choices. You know, you made a choice to get up and be here today. We've been making choices about wearing masks, about washing our hands, about staying 6 feet away from people, following the rules. And making those choices is important not just for us, but it's important for everybody else that we're coming in contact and keeping them safe. So just remember that as you go through life, every day is going to start presenting you with new and different choices, especially as you get older and you're spending more time on your own. And always practice the idea of taking the pros and cons of something. How will this be good for me? How might this be bad for me? How will it be good for the people I love? Or how could it impact the people I love in a way that is dangerous? Because when you do that, you're going to be making safer choices and really doing what you're here to learn, which is keeping everyone safe and healthy. So I hope you enjoy the program. Thank you so much.
Hi cadets, my name is Joe Bonavolante and I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Boston Division. I oversee all FBI operations covering the states of Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. And it's my pleasure to be with you here this morning during what I believe is your last week of the virtual Public Service Academy. I just want to let you all know that I was told that the theme for this week was respect. And I can't think of a more important theme and one that we hold in higher regard than here at the FBI. As a matter of fact, our mission is to protect the American people and to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And in order to do that, we carry out several core values, which are really guiding principles in order to attain that very lofty mission statement that we have. And in carrying out that mission statement and those core values, professionalism and respect are right at the top of the list in terms of things that we try to do every single day with the people that we interact with. So in terms of your friends, whether it's at home, at school, or on the internet, you should always treat everybody with the utmost professionalism and respect. And that's something that you should also expect in return from them. So if you've ever been the victim of bullying, or if anyone has ever asked you to say or do something that you think is inappropriate, or that you feel uncomfortable doing or saying, you should always report it directly to an adult that you trust. Now, I know over the course of the last several weeks, you've heard from several police chiefs, fire chiefs, district attorneys, and other individuals who have dedicated their adult lives to public service. And I know I can speak for myself and probably most of the individuals that you've heard from over the course of the last few weeks, that it was more of a calling, and it was something that they knew they wanted to do from a relatively early age, such as many of you. And I can tell you that in order to do that for a living, you always need to keep those fundamental principles in your mind, such as treating people with professionalism and respect. And speaking specifically for the FBI, I can tell you that I would love one day to see many of you walk in the halls of the FBI Boston Division, either as college honors interns or as special agents or intelligence analysts for the FBI. And if you study hard and you work hard and you stay out of trouble and you treat everybody with respect, that's something that you can definitely do, and maybe I'll look forward to seeing you walk in our halls one day. Thank you very much.
Wow, those were great words to live by, but quite honestly, you should think about coming to the sheriff's office too. You don't always have to go to the FBI, but I would be proud to see any of our cadets working in any form of public service. So always know that you can achieve anything you want to. I think District Attorney Ryan and Special Agent in Charge Bonavolanta are great examples of that. I also wanted to recognize some very special cadets who have logged on today. I understand we have some students from the Valley Collaborative signed on with us, so welcome. The Valley Collaborative is a special education program that I've been involved with for many years as sheriff. I actually had the chance to attend one of their Zoom classes a few weeks ago, so hi to all of my great friends at the Valley Collaborative. Now, it's a priority that, like with the Valley Collaborative, that YPSA be an accessible place for cadets with physical and developmental disabilities. I have involved with these communities going back to my days as a teenager. I volunteered as a kid. So this is a community that's near and dear to my heart and some of my best friends. In fact, I had the chance this weekend to participate in a birthday parade for one of our very special cadets, Miss Natalie. Natalie turned 15 years old. And my daughter, Isabel, who you can see on the left of that picture, met Natalie at YPSA last year and came with me and insisted on coming with me as part of the birthday parade, as well as a Zoom call we did with Natalie and her mom later that day. Isabel mentioned to me, this is one of the proudest things I can say as a dad and as a sheriff of this camp, that one of her favorite things about the YPSA is the way the counselors and cadets treat each other. Everyone is treated with kindness, and those people that have been involved in this know this is true, especially our cadets that may have intellectual or developmental disabilities. She said this with a big smile about how wonderful it made her to feel to see everyone being treated with respect and kindness, and it made my heart sing. This is exactly what we're talking about today. How we create environments where everyone feels happy and respected, because you all deserve that. So again, thank you to DA Ryan and Special Agent in Charge Bonavolanta, and to the Valley Collaborative and Natalie for being part of our presentation today. Now, as I mentioned, one of the areas we're going to talk about today is cyber safety. Because of COVID-19 safety precautions we discussed during our first episode, we are online even more than we ever used to be. I'm sure that many of you use computers or phones to do schoolwork, to catch up with friends, or to do some reading, or maybe even sneakily play some video games on there too, like my kids do. Those are a lot of good reasons to use the internet, but it's important to be cautious about what you're using it for and what people are asking you for when you use it. To help talk about this, I invited one of the region's best cybersecurity experts to join us live. Deputy Sheriff Jim Schwab works for my office as our digital forensics expert. What that means is he studies things like emails or websites or apps to see if there are any potential threats. Jim also works with Special Agent Bonavolanta and the FBI very frequently as part of the New England Regional Computer Forensics Laboratory. And Jim also is a YPSA dad himself. His children, Jackson and Tucker, have attended this camp, and I know must be watching right now. So Jim is joining us live from the Middlesex Sheriff's Office Training Academy in Chelmsford. So please say good morning to Deputy Sheriff Schwab. And Jim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Sheriff, for those very kind words. Good morning, cadets. I'm very excited to be here with you today to talk about internet safety. Now, when we talk about internet safety, we're not only talking about just websites, but anytime you can connect to the internet, be via a video game like Xbox or PlayStation, via an app on your phone or tablet, or on your computer. So we're going to talk about a few different things today. We're going to start off talking about video games. Now, I know my kids play Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite, and I'm sure a lot of you guys play those same games as well. In those games, there's a really cool function that you can talk to other people who are also playing the game at the same time as you. One thing you want to make sure you're doing is you're not talking to people who you don't know. The best way to do when you're playing these online games is to turn off the chat so you don't talk to anybody who you're not familiar with. Or you can just play those games locally, so at home, by yourself, or in a small group with just your friends. So I have heard that you cadets are extremely smart, so I'm going to ask you a question, excuse me, about who you can talk to online, and Megan's going to help us with that.
All right, our first poll that you guys can answer is, who is it okay to accept a friend chat request from? Someone who acts like a friend or family member, a friend you know in real life, or a total stranger? And we're gonna give you a few seconds to answer that. If we can have those results up now.
All right, excellent work, cadets. I knew you were smart. Totally correct. You can make friends with somebody who you know in real life, and it's okay to chat with them. Let's move on now, and we're going to talk a little bit about social media. Now, before we talk about social media, I know we just had a question, but we're going to have another poll question real quick about what social media is. So if Megan can help us with that, that would be great.
All right, poll number 2. Which is not an example of social media? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Minecraft, or YouTube? All right, if we can have those results pulled up.
All right, everyone who answered Minecraft got it right. So Minecraft, as most of us know, is a video game, and you can play it on any number of platforms, on your computer, on your Xbox, on your mobile device, your phone, your tablet, and it's a lot of fun. But it's not really what we call social media. So social media is something like YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, where users can share things with each other. So if you're going to use social media, first and foremost, you should make sure your parents know what you're doing on social media. Make sure that they have access to your account. You also don't want to post anything publicly about you, any private information or anything else like that. And you want to make sure that you're using privacy and security settings so that only people you know and approve can see what it is you're posting on your social media pages. Next, we are, going to talk about various apps. Now, I bet a lot of people have heard of this app called TikTok, and I'm going to tell you right now, don't use it. If you have it, delete it. Just stay away from it. TikTok is one of those crazy apps that nobody needs to have on their device. But other apps that you need to be aware of are apps that enable you to communicate with other people. A lot of people use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is great to communicate with people. If you don't have a good cell signal, but you can connect to Wi-Fi, you can still have a communication with your friends and family. But again, you don't want to communicate with people who you don't know. So make sure that you know who it is you're talking to or chatting with on the other end of the app. I think we have one more poll. If Megan can help us with this last one, that would be awesome.
All right. Our last poll. When is it okay to give out personal information or send pictures to someone online through an app or through a text message? If they ask really nicely, if they are friends with your friend, if they say they know your parents or guardians, if they make a deal with you or promise you a gift in return, or never. So we're going to give you a few seconds to answer that. All right, can we have those results, please?
Excellent work. Absolutely. You should never be sharing personal information online in any fashion. That's excellent work from you cadets. I'm very proud of you. All right, we got a real quick list. These are 5 tips that the Department of Justice came up with specifically for while everyone is stuck at home during COVID, and they're all about staying safe online. So let's look at these together real quick. Stay alert, because things are not always as they seem. So we talked about that, how people may not be who you think they are, and that's why you need to know who it is you're talking to on the other end. Always think before you post. We talked about that. Don't post anything. I have this rule that if you wouldn't say it to your grandmother, you shouldn't say it online. Use privacy settings like we talked about. If anyone does interact with you and they make you feel uncomfortable in any way, you should block that person right away and tell a trusted adult. And then finally, like we said, tell a trusted adult if anything happens that you're not comfortable with. Once the video gets posted on our social media, we're going to have 2 links at the bottom that you can check out. One of them is the Department of Justice webpage that this comes from. And then also another one is netsmarts.org, which is a great resource for online safety for cadets and families. So that is all I have. And I think we're going to kick it back to Sheriff KOUTOUJIAN.
So thank you very much, Deputy Sheriff Schwab. That was really helpful information. It helps remind me how to sort of behave or how to engage online. I have discussed this with my children, Peter, Christian, and Isabel before, but it's always valuable to revisit, and I know Isabel is watching right now, so listen up. I see we have some questions for Mr. Schwab, so let me ask our Director of Community Outreach, our own Megan Lee, to share some of your questions with us. Go ahead, Megan.
Great, thank you, Sheriff. We have one question for Deputy Sheriff Schwab. Mr. Schwab, AJ from Salem asks, how do we know when a website is one we should avoid?
AJ, that is a great question. The first indication that a website should be avoided is if there's anything on the front page that you think is inappropriate. So if it's something violent or bad language or pictures that make you feel uncomfortable, that is an absolute a website that you should avoid. And if you come across a website like that, you should tell your parent or trusted adult right away.
Great, now that's all we have for questions right now. We're going to turn it right back to you, Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Megan. Again, thank you, Deputy Sheriff Schwab, and thank you for cadets for listening and for those questions about cyber safety. AJ sounds like a really smart young man. I'm glad you all found that interesting. As always, we invite officers from your hometowns to come on the program and say hello. This week, we have 2 amazing police officers, real leaders in their communities that have been with us over the many years through YPSA, and you should definitely recognize. First up is Officer Shelley Hughes from Framingham Police Department. Officer Hughes is a regular at YPSA, serves as Framingham School Resource Officer. Officer Hughes, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Sheriff, and thank you so much for the invite today. And good morning to everybody. I thank everybody for tuning in when we couldn't come together for camp this year, but virtual camp is just as good. I'm glad we still get to have some fun and learn how to be safe. Hopefully we can all be together soon. But just remember, we're always still here for you. So if you guys need anything, just reach out to us and we're still here. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Thanks again.
Thank you, officer. It's great to see you right behind, flying behind you is the Broncos flag. Everyone should know that's not the Denver Broncos. That's for Keefe Tech, the vocational school out in Framingham. You still got your school pride. And so thank you very much for showing us how much you love your community and you love your schools as well.
Thank you very much, and go Pats.
Go Pats, that's right.
Yeah.
And thank you, Officer Hughes. Everyone recognizes you as everyone will also recognize our next guest. Officer Melissa O'Connor spoke to us last week. She's joining us again to share a few words. Officer O'Connor, thank you again for being with us. Good morning, and thank you for supporting virtual YPSA.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Sheriff. Thank you to your staff. I'm so happy to be a part of the virtual YPSA. This is my second time, and I just want to say to all you cadets, there's so much good information out here. I hope you guys are all picking up on it and learning from everything that's being taught each week. Have a wonderful rest of your summer, and I really can't wait to see you all in person next summer.
Thank you again to Officers Hughes and O'Connor for those warm welcomes, and thank you for being such a part of the heart of what makes YPSA great each year. Now we have 2 more special guests who asked me to share some videos with you all. First is the Mayor of Framingham, Yvonne Spicer. Mayor Spicer is actually the first mayor of Framingham. She was elected when Framingham changed from a town to a city in 2018. She is a big supporter of YPSA and a great person for all of you to hear from. We also have Malden Officer Trent Headley. Officer Headley is a regular presence around Malden Public Schools as their resource officer. I'm also told He's a willing substitute for any pickup basketball game. So if you see him out there near a court, challenge him. I'm sure he'll take you up on it. Please watch the quick clips from Mayor Spicer and Officer Headley.
Hi campers, I'm Mayor Yvonne Spicer from the city of Framingham, and I know last year we had a chance to be together in person, but this year due to our pandemic we've had to do something a little bit differently. But I want to remind you all of 3 things. Be very careful when you're online, because there are those people that want to get your information, and cyber security is very important. And the other thing is thinking about bullying. Remind yourself too to stay away from bullies. And most importantly, respect yourself and respect others. I hope you had a great time this summer.
Hello, YPSA cadets. My name is Officer Trent Headley from the Malden Police Department. And I'm here to wish you a safe and happy summer. I'm sad I couldn't be there with all of you this summer, but I want to remind you to always respect and be kind to one another. Hope to see you all next summer. And if you're in Malden, come by and say hello. And always remind yourselves to wear your mask. Take care.
That is great advice, Officer Headley. And once again, thank you to Mayor Spicer and Officer Headley. Now, I'd also ask everyone to welcome a very good friend of mine who you see on screen. This is a really important guest for us. John Curran is the town manager for Billerica, where our facility is here at the Middlesex Sheriff's Office. It means that he oversees all the local government responsibilities in the town, and he works very closely in keeping our facility safe. He's also been a mayor for many years. He was elected in neighboring Woburn here in Middlesex County. And I've known the town manager for many, many years, going back to our days as college students. He is a talented and hardworking public servant who goes out of his way to be kind and helpful to others. However, John has experienced bullying in his life, both as a kid and as an adult, for a medical condition that he has called hemophageal microsemia. The town manager did something very brave recently and something very effective when dealing with bullies. He told people about their behavior and how it made him feel. And recently he wrote an amazing letter to the editor that ran in the Sentinel Enterprise and the Lowell Sun and many other papers. Matter of fact, people from around the country saw this letter and passed it around. So many people saw this because of the power of what the manager wrote. I would encourage any parent to read this letter with their children. I did it with my own children. And we will send this out along with our closing email at the end of our summer. Some of you may have heard the term bystander. It's someone who stands by when something is happening, right? Just not doing anything. There's another term that describes what town manager Curran did and some of the people in his life did. It's called upstander, someone who speaks up and stands up with people when something is happening. That's what public safety leaders really are. They are upstanders. And what town manager Curran did was an upstanding thing to do. I want you all to think about upstanders as town manager Curran speaks and whether or not you can be an upstander. He will talk about what bystanders and upstanders he found in his life. His experience with cyberbullying is important because it wasn't just regular bullying, it was cyberbullying too. It would be important for you to hear for 3 reasons. And this is not just for the children, but for our adults too. So cadets, make sure your parents watch this too. I want you all to know, number 1, that cyberbullying can happen to anyone, children and adults, and it's never okay, and you're also never alone if it happens to you. Number 2, I want you to see what those bullies say about you and that it means nothing. Their hurtful words say more about them than it does you, and they cannot prevent you from becoming an impressive, kind-hearted, and capable leader like town manager Curran. And if you are not being bullied, but you know someone who is, you can be an upstander for them. Really importantly, the town manager will let you know how important those people can be. John, honestly, you can probably tell I get emotional just thinking about what you've experienced and what other people experience in life today, but also what a role model you are for young kids and truthfully for all of us. Thank you for joining us, my friend, town manager John Curran.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I just briefly wanted to say that I have a real affinity for the program. As you know, I also work with the Sheriff's Office back in 1998, and I was one of the people that worked on this program when it first started. And I know that the mission at the time was to try to bring all branches of public safety together, and particularly the Sheriff's Office, so that young kids could understand the role that public safety plays. It isn't just about any negative things. It's they're a part of the community, and they're people you can trust and go to when you need assistance. So thank you, Sheriff, for carrying on this program, and it's great to see it running for so long, and especially having you carry it into a virtual platform and make sure that it continues to go on. So thank you for that. But my own experience, why are you looking at I guess, a 54-year-old guy, and what do I have in common with you, you young kids out there that are, watching this program? So we were all young once. We were all kids, and I had a unique experience, but it isn't so unique because we're all unique. We are all different in some way, and all of you watching have something that you think is a detriment about yourself and that you're not comfortable with, and sometimes you probably think that you wish you could be better at one thing. But all of you who are watching also have things about you that you are really good at and that offer great value, and that you are better than most people at certain things. So you should never allow people to tell you, especially those things that you know that you're maybe not as good at, and if somebody's going to criticize you about that, not to accept that, as the sheriff said, you have to stand up for yourself and not accept someone who wants to bully you on any issues because you might be different in some way. In my particular situation, it was my parents, and as a kid, it was very difficult to meet people for the first time because people weren't used to seeing someone with my condition, and it was something that I had to learn to cope with at an early age, which I did, and I think over time it has made me stronger. And ironically, one of the reasons I got into public service was that I felt that in some weird, twisted sense, if people knew me as a public servant, as the mayor or as the town manager, then I'm past that. I'm past the fact that they have to figure out, they have to meet me for the first time. So the more well-known I was, the less I have to deal with the fact that people have to figure out for themselves why I look different. So it's kind of weird, but it's worked for me over the years. And, as a young kid, I experienced some things. But recently, as an adult, over the past few years, I've experienced an uptick in that type of behavior. And most of it has to do with social media. And unfortunately, people on social media don't understand the consequences of their actions, because when you put something on social media, you don't see the reaction of the person on the other end of the screen. You don't understand the consequences of what you're writing. And written words are not always adequate in conveyance of feelings or points of view, as much as they can be when you're talking to somebody face to face. So as a result of this whole explosion of social media, people become desensitized, and they don't realize that what they're saying can be hurtful. And as a result, we've seen a lot more bullying on social media and in the public eye. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of that just generally in society today. People's lack of understanding, tolerance for people that are different. There's a lot of division in the world today, and a lot of that comes out of fear because of all the things that are happening in the world today. And sometimes fear, unfortunately, takes over in these negative things like division and not liking somebody because they're from another country, or not liking somebody because they look different like me, or because they have a different point of view. And we have to learn to accept people that are different and accept them for who they are, and not to criticize them and not to fear them. Because that's really what it is when somebody lashes out at you on social media. It's an insecurity on their part. It's a fear on their end. And the problem is with them, it's not with you. So if you were assaulted or attacked verbally on social media, it's not, the problem is not with you, it's with the person on the other end of the screen. And most likely they're very cowardice people because they're not willing to deal with the issue in a positive way. So if you have that experience, like I have, I think you should face it head on and tell somebody to knock it off, or tell your parent or your student or your teachers what's going on, so that it doesn't continue to become a problem. I know that when I was in this program, when I worked for the sheriff's office, there's a quote that from St. Thomas More that was on the program. It was, all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And that's what the sheriff is talking about, being an upstanding person. You need to stand up and defend yourself and defend people that are being assaulted. And things do get better, and you need to just realize that the issue is not with you. The issue is with the person that is doing the assault. And what I would say to all of you out there is the best way to eliminate these types of problems is try to understand people's stories and understand other people's perspectives. We all come from different backgrounds, and the more you know about it, the more you understand people and understand where they're coming from, the less likely that these issues will happen, and the more tolerant we can all be of each other and of each other's differences. So and I'm thankful that the sheriff asked me to come on. You know, this isn't a situation that I asked you to, feel sorry for my situation, because it's not. I don't like to define my person by this experience, because as you know, I've done many different things, and I pride myself on that. It shouldn't define me, just as anything that struggles you have, they shouldn't define you either, but they should add to your strength. And the adversity that you experience when you overcome these things makes you stronger and a better individual. And that's what you take with you. So thank you, Sheriff, for having me on, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. And again, people should understand, and John, I don't feel sorry for you. I feel nothing but admiration for you. And I still remember, for everyone out there, when I met John in college, we went to different colleges, but I met him. And then years later, I didn't know that he had actually run for office, and he had run, I think, were you counselor maybe before John, and then maybe mayor?
Yes.
Was that how it went? Yes.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, I just remember thinking, that is unbelievable that man, firstly, that you were just like a regular college student the whole time. You didn't shy away from this, as you said. You went forward, you pushed through, you were an outstander, and then you actually ran for office. I think it's really powerful about what people can do, and nothing but admiration for you, manager. Thank you so much. Now, let me say, we've got a couple of questions, I think. Megan Lee, do we have some audience questions for us?
We do. Thank you, Sheriff. We have a couple for Town Manager Curran and one for you. Mr. Town Manager, Hayden from Medford asks, if I see someone who was bullied, what should I do?
I think you should stand up. It depends on the context, but I think you should, as the sheriff had mentioned, I think you should stand up for them. A great movie that actually has to do with my condition is Wonder. And that's a great movie for the kids to watch. And it's about people standing up for this individual who's different. And I think you can do that in many ways. You can confront the person right there and say, hey, knock it off, this isn't right. Or you can talk to someone, an adult in that whatever setting it is that you're in. But the important thing is that bullies should not be allowed to continue to do what they do. And if people don't stand up to them, they will do it again. So you need to stand up to bullies when it happens.
Great, thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Our next question comes from Ozzy in Billerica. He wants to know, why is cyberbullying so common?
So I think it's common for the reasons that I mentioned, which is people don't understand or realize the consequences of their actions when they sit behind a keyboard. You know, they call them keyboard warriors, and they really should just call them cowards, because that's what they are. People who do that behind a keyboard, they don't realize the impact of what they're saying. There's no consequence for their ignorance, and there needs to be. So I think, you know, Facebook as an organization and all of these social media venues need to do a better job of policing them. And we as participants in these programs need to do a better job of responding to them and knocking down this type of behavior, because it's the lack of consequence that these people have that allows them to continue to do it, and why it's so common. So again, like with any bullying situation, standing up to that bully is going to help to reduce the amount of incidents of bullying.
Great, and we just have one question left for you from Vincent. He writes, is it possible to also stick up for people on social media?
Yes, it is, and then that's happened. You know, when I wrote that letter to the editor, I got many people that wrote very positive feedback to me. You know, I'm not going to go into the details of the incident that made me write that letter, but I haven't seen that person say anything online since I wrote that letter. You know, I'm sure he's worried that I'm going to expose his identity, and then there would be consequences. But it is possible to stick up for people, and it's necessary.
Great, thank you, Town Manager. Sheriff, the final question is for you. What if we tell an adult about bullying, but it happens again?
Well, I understand you can feel really upset if that happens. And if it happens again, you should tell them again. And sometimes, you know, in dealing with children, you have to go, if that adult isn't doing something about it, and maybe it's an adult that should be doing something about it because of their professional role, sometimes you have to go a little bit higher. And sometimes the higher level people don't know that this is going on. So don't be afraid to go back to that individual or to go higher in speaking with your parents if you need to. Let me just tell you something, two things, the town manager, the letter that he wrote was because he was being cyberbullied. It's like he said, someone was just doing it anonymously, thought they were, you know, they were so mean to him, but they did it through their computer. They didn't have even the guts to stand and look him in the eye and say that to him, right? And that's where he stood out and he did that. So just understand the cyberbullying is very serious, and it can be so hurtful to people too. So just be aware of protecting yourself from cyberbullying. And it should be understood too, that I was a victim of a lot of bullying when I was a kid. You know, I was the victim, it was a lot of bullying. It was really, really hard for him emotionally, academically I suffered. And it was just really a difficult, isolating time for me, right? And I didn't have to face what John had to face. But it got better. You know, the fact is that, like John will say, you get with these bullies, but eventually you kind of become better, and they never do. So they stay behind while you're moving up. So just know that you can continue to get better. Don't give up hope. Continue to forge on. And then really importantly, stand up for others. And it might not be that you have to get directly involved if you're concerned for your safety, I suppose, but you should always tell an adult that someone else was being bullied. It happens all the time, and we need to stand up for those people. Well, so John Curran, thank you once again. And thank you for your leadership and your example, and thank you to the cadets for your great questions. We have one final speaker who I'd like to for you to listen to, and they'll speak about respect and civility. Here at the Middlesex Sheriff's Office, it's important that we have a respectful and calm workplace. One of the people who helps keep that peace is our Religious Services Director, Coordinator, Piers Van Dunk. Piers runs several programs for both our staff and the people that are in our jail up here too, living at the Middlesex Jail and House of Corrections. And he and his wife, Tulia, also volunteer frequently. We've done much volunteer work, actually, even up in the facility together. But they do a lot around Boston too. They're really two great role models for respect and civility, some of the best that I know. So trust me, I know you will learn something from these two. So please listen in and hear what they have to say.
YPSA cadets.
Hi, cadets.
My name is Pastor Piers Van Dunk. I'm one of the chaplains at the Middlesex House of Correction.
And I'm Tulia Van Dunk, his wife, and I'm also an attorney, a lawyer for the federal government.
And we want to talk to you guys a little bit today about respect. What is respect? Why is it so important in how we live and in how we interact with one another?
You mean respect is not R-E-S-P-E-C-T? I know. When we're talking about respect, we have to first talk about self-respect. What does that mean? That means before you can honor someone else and their opinions and thoughts and beliefs, you have to first honor yourself. It's before you can find somebody else worthy and valuable and really listen to their opinions and their beliefs. Respect is not being meek, it is not being silent, but it is finding value either in yourself or in another person enough to stand up and with grace confront the issue or talk about it.
And when you have that respect for yourself, you can have respect for the people around you, the people you love, the people you care for, and even the people that you disagree with. Me and Tulia don't agree all the time, but the way that we have disagreements, we don't shout at each other and insult each other, but we express the things that we think differently about with love for one another, and we value each other's opinion. One thing respect is not, it's not staying quiet and standing back when you see something wrong going on.
Respect is not silence.
You can be respectful and loving and still speak out against wrong and still stand up for what's right and what's good and what's loving. So respect yourself, respect the people around you, your loved ones, your neighbors, the people that you disagree with, and we can make this world a better place. And when you act that way, everyone around you is going to want to act that way too. It's infectious, it's contagious.
Right. I mean, I already want to be a cadet.
We're proud of you guys. Have a great rest of your summer.
Wow, that was pretty amazing. Thank you, Piers and Tulia. They are inspirational, and I feel inspired right now after this show so far. So thank you to our guests who have joined us today. We had a lot of guests today, and that's because this is a really important topic, and that one that affects everyone. Public officials and private citizens, men and women, people of color, right? Sometimes people are being bullied because they look different, and because just it's physical, or it can be because of their race or ethnicity, or the fact they speak a different language, right? We have to all understand this, so it doesn't all affect us equally, but we all have the ability equally to stop bullying and disrespect when we see it. So if there's anything I want you cadets to take away from this virtual YPSA, is that you are some of the best public safety leaders we have, because you all have the ability to stop germs from spreading with COVID-19. These are from all of our 4 sessions. You all have the ability to prevent fires in your homes. You all have the ability to take care of animals and pets and be watchful for them. And you all have the ability to identify bullying and tell a trusted adult and protect others, to be an upstander. If you all remember that you are truly ready to be graduates of the Youth Public Safety Academy, in fact, there is just one more thing that you will need to prove you have watched all these episodes and that you are a true blue YPSA cadet. And that's our last code word. Now remember, you can always go back and watch the other 3 ones and get those code words as well. Today, the final code words is actually a phrase. It is professional excellence. Professional excellence. So send all 4 code words to ypsa@sdm.state.ma.us to claim your prize. And by the way, a very special prize if you could tell us where those words come from. So you can find where we brought those words from to you, a very special prize, and I will be really impressed if you can do that. So we saw many examples of professional excellence today, like our code words. From DA Ryan to SAC Bonavolanta to Deputy Sheriff Schwab and Ken Doucette to Officer Hughes and O'Connor to Mayor Spicer and Officer Headley, and really especially to Town Manager Curran and Pierce Van Dunk and Tulia as well. You have so many great public safety role models to choose from here at the Youth Public Safety Academy in the Middlesex Sheriff's Office. And the good news is we'll all be waiting for you next year when hopefully we can see you in person. Until then, remember what I always say, the harder you work, the luckier you get. That has been what has led to, happiness in my life, right? I have a very happy life, and it's because of that. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your summer and a terrific school year. And please remember to stay safe and always, always, always be an upstander.